Much better chance.
Right, because
Like to call the August 11th, 2022 council meeting to order at 3:33 PM. Machines are open for roll call. Let the record show 8 council members are present, and Mr. Black is not a council member anymore. Go to proclamations.
Proclamations. A proclamation declaring August 11th, 2022 as Balestra Supermarket Day in the Parish of Plaquemines. Councilmember Newberry.
I'll offer it.
Can we get a unanimous second?
Yeah, unanimous second.
Ms. Newberry offered a unanimous second.
A proclamation declaring August 11th, 2022 as Balestra Supermarket Day in the Parish of Plaquemines. Whereas the Balestra family has been an integral part of Plaquemines Parish for generations, beginning when Anthony and Ralph Balestra Sr. opened a grocery store on the corner of Barrier Road in August of 1959, and continuing with their sons, Joe, Ralph, Sal, and Tonacio Balestra. And whereas in honor of their success, they hired longtime family friends Lloyd Boudreaux Sr. and Herbert Perk to help with the day-to-day operations. As Plaquemines Parish grew with the residents, so did Balestra's customer base. They purchased the property at 7902 Highway 23 with the help of older brother Philip Balestra as their contractor to build a larger grocery store, which was completed in December 1965. And whereas at that point, Lloyd Boudreaux Sr., who was now married into the family, became store manager, Herbert Perk went on to become the produce manager, and eventually Tonacio Balestra, son of Anthony, took over the meat department. Joe, Ralph, and Sal, the sons of Ralph Sr., ran the day-to-day operations. And whereas in October 2014, when the Family Dollar store lease expired under their roof, Balestra Supermarket expanded their store to offer more shopping aisles, including a variety of international products, a large selection of wines, hot meals on a daily basis, sushi, and a bakery. And whereas the Balestra family has served and continue to serve Plaquemines Parish in numerous capacities, and after 63 years has made a decision to sell the supermarket on July 13, 2022 to Bromart Supermarkets. The Plaquemines Parish Council wishes to honor the Balestra family for its dedication to the citizens of Plaquemines Parish. The council wants to wish you well on your retirement and hope you enjoy the next chapter of your lives. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Plaquemines Parish Council, represented by its duly authorized chairman, Mark Habokanovich, and by concurrence of the parish president, Kirk M. Lapine, representing the Plaquemines Parish government, that it hereby declares the August 11th, 2022 as Balestra Supermarket Day in the parish of Plaquemines.
Thank you. Machines open. Passes 8-0. Ms. Newberry?
Thank you, appreciate it. To me, this is family members of mine, cousins. My great-grandmother was the oldest of 9 living children, and Ralph and Anthony was one of the youngest. So I'm privileged to be here on the board and to present this proclamation, so it's definitely an honor. Joe, we all going to miss you guys, seeing y'all every day walking in that store. You gave this community great service and provided those services to the community. And I know to you guys, it was just a job, working every day. But to the community, it was a big honor for y'all to be there every day and just have those conversations with the people. Y'all are going to be truly missed. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. Anyone else?
Mr. Roussel?
What can I say, Joe? I want to congratulate you on you and the family. I see Brian out there and Antoinette. Kathy. It's been a long time, and I don't think I would ever see it, but I'm seeing it today. I remember on Barrier Road when the store was first there. One night we were coming home, we found your safe out in the front of the store. Someone had robbed the store. And I couldn't believe it, but we did. And ever since then, it's been a memory for me at that location as well as the new location. But y'all have done a tremendous job, provided a great service. The community has supported you. You have supported the community in hard times, through hurricanes, And I know that for Hurricane Katrina, you got a big bill that went to us. You remember that? And it was unfortunate that it happened that way, that people went into the store and took what they wanted. And y'all were very generous, and y'all did a great job for the community. I don't know what else I could tell you, but I really appreciate being a friend and a customer all of the years. And y'all have done a great service for the community. So thank you and congratulations, and I hope you enjoy your LSU Tigers in the future. Thank you.
Dr. Gouy?
It is something I never thought would happen, that the store wouldn't be owned by you guys. People told me the same thing, and I did it anyway. So one of the things that is that I'm going to miss is, well, a couple things. One is going into the store and you guys being there smiling and hollering and telling me hello. But I think the thing I'm going to miss most is that was the only place I could get a check cashed without showing any identification. I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. Good luck with everything. Retirement, some people say it ain't what you think it's going to be. It's going to be whatever you want it to be. And I know it's going to be good. So thank you for everything.
Mr. Alborough?
Mr. Joe and the entire Balestra family, thank y'all. So many memories, although I wasn't around for the first store. My parents still tell stories all the time about it and the store throughout the years. And I can never forget the first day my mom allowed me to ride my bike from Melvin Drive that far. Only because she wanted me to pick up something for her, I believe. But so many memories through the years and all the years as I ran by you, Barrier. It was a great thing to have y'all there. Any product I needed, if it wasn't on the shelves, y'all helped me out and just really made it easy to run a business in this parish as well. So thank y'all. And I've heard some ski trip stories over the years from my parents. So hopefully now that you have more time, we can sit down and have a cup of coffee and talk about that. Thank y'all.
I'd like to thank y'all. I haven't been a patron for long since Katrina, but I know the local store's more of a family than a grocery store because y'all part of the community, and I know Bell Chase appreciates y'all, and I thank y'all.
Let me get up and turn around and face you, Joe. And the whole Balestra family, thank you for being here today. We honor you. And of course, Joe is the person who does not like any attention drawn to him. But thank you, Joe. Thank you for all the years. Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Sal. And thank you, the whole Balestra family that's been here. You know, Dr. Gouy touched on something that you could go in there and cash a check without even showing ID. You could get a buggy of groceries and walk out of Balestra's and not say, I don't have my checkbook, I don't have any cash, and still you could come back later and pay if you needed to. But that was the community that they built. They built around that store. And to this day, I still say Balestra's is welcome Bromart. You know, I have to say welcome Bromart to our community, but it will always be entrenched Balestra's in my eyes and in my mind that I'm going into Balestra's. I'm not seeing you guys, but you made such an institution here in Plaquemines Parish. We can't thank you enough. We wish you well on your retirement. I hope I can get some LSU tickets off of you this year. But again, thank you, Joe, and thank you all the Balestra family for all you've done for Plaquemines Parish.
Mr. LaFrance?
Yes, I would like to thank the Balestra family, servicing the people of Plaquemines Parish, but I also want to touch upon right after Katrina, when y'all's store was full of people, and some of the people from up the road was complaining about the long lines, and y'all came out of the courtesy booth and calmed the situation down and told them that y'all have to realize that the people from the southern end had lost everything. I truly want to thank y'all from the bottom of my heart for that. And also that for the longest, I thought Mr. Lord was a Balestra. Thank you.
Mr. Bartholomew?
I'm going to stand up because I got to say, hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Balestra! The greatest store in Plaquemines Parish and the most concerned store in Plaquemines for its people of Plaquemines. There was no way that you could be left without meeting your necessities for something to eat. So thank you. God bless you all, because you did make a profound way of life in Plaquemines Parish. Because without you, a lot of people would have some hard times. So again, thank y'all very much, and God bless all of you all. And enjoy the fruits of your labor until that time comes.
I'd like to take a picture, and
Any comments from?
would one of y'all like to come up and talk? Joe?
wanna hear Joe talk.
Joe? Right there.
Oh, man. Yeah, right. Mr. President, Mr. Council Chairman, the board, just like to thank everybody for their outpouring love and dedication, and it's, we were taught to come here and to do business and treat everybody fair and pretty equal, and I think we've done that. And we had two little Italians to teach us how to run a tight ship, and we tried to do that, and I think we probably with all the outpouring support, I think we accomplished that. But I want to thank everybody that's ever been a customer, and like my dad once told me, you got to be proud for anybody that walks through the door, because nothing is for sure. And I think we just did a good job taking care of our people, and I just want to say I really appreciate everything, all the support through the years, and believe me, it was time. So that's really all I got to say.
Joe, I just didn't say anything a minute ago. Thank you so much. Joe's worked with me on this proclamation for the past month or so, so I appreciate. So this is written pretty much by himself and myself, so thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Hey.
We're going to take a picture with the family.
Come up here. All right, we're ready. 1, 2, and we got you. Can I get back to work? Gotta crack the whip. I'm a good boy. Congratulations. Yeah.
Next item, please.
The chairman would like to move to item 11I, presentation by Dominique Siebert from the LSU Ag Center. Councilmember Kognovich.
Here, right here. Look down.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the last. We've done a couple different presentations. This is the last. This is Dominique Siebert, who is our fisheries agent, and she's going to give you a little short update.
No.
I need someone to unlock the computer.
Kim, can you unlock her computer?
Call Kevin.
Good afternoon, Parish President and council members. My name is Dominique Siebert. I am the Marine Fisheries Agent for Plaquemines and St. Bernard parishes. We are Louisiana's Sea Grant, but we're also classified under the LSU Ag Center. My main focuses of work are around commercial fisheries, any coastal projects, and youth development programming. I'm also LSU Master's Candidate for the School of Agricultural Extension and Education. I've been with Sea Grant for 6 years, and I have 11 years in the marine biology field. I'm also a member of the Venture Global Community Advisory Group. So I'm just going to sort of run through some programming that we've done, and this is just in the past year. We hosted our Wetlands Day at the Fishing Pier for nearly 100 3rd and 8th graders from Boothville, Venice Elementary, and South Plaque High School. The students learned about geology, comparative anatomy of mammals. They did water quality testing. They interacted with mysterious objects and touch boxes. So as you can imagine, them sticking their hands in boxes and they thought something was going to eat them constantly. So that was pretty amusing. And the highlight was an airboat ride. The students, as you can see from those pictures, they had a blast on the airboat. And for the 3rd graders, this was their first ever field trip. So they had a really good time. We also held our aquatic education clinics in the spring, and we do this in collaboration with the 4-H program. We reached over 150 students throughout the parish. The students sort of rotate what we call their education stations, and each station they learn how to cast. They learn how to rig their fishing poles, so they tie their own lines with hooks, weights, and corks, and they learn basic fish anatomy. We know they're learning something, and we know they're taking away the skills that they've learned, because the rest of the day we send them fishing. Now, we're around, of course, supervising, but if they get their pole caught on something, they're able to retie their poles. So we're teaching these kids new outdoor skills. Also, they're able to identify the fish, and they're able to also sex the different species, which is also very interesting. We go over that through the fish anatomy, and so they're really utilizing their skills that they learn throughout the clinic. Also, each summer we host a program called Marsh Dogs. This is for high school students. It's typically held in July. They spend a week with us. We travel through Plaquemines, St. Bernard, and Orleans parishes, and it's a full immersive education experience. They are in the marsh, they are in the bayous, they are learning how to collect scientific data. They're learning about biodiversity and food web relationships. They're learning about the importance of protecting our marsh and marsh creation projects. They do a lot of hands-on learning. They do fish dissection with microscopes that attach to their phones. So we're utilizing different types of technology. We go over GPS and GIS mapping with them. And they also have fun. They do a lot of canoeing, a lot of fishing, and we do a marine debris cleanup project during the week as well. All of the programs that we do with youth development is at no cost to anyone. We apply for grants and we work through private donations to run these programs. They are expensive, as you can imagine, but we are very good at finding something to fund them because we don't want to charge the students anything. This is for their development. We want to encourage them to pursue maybe careers in STEM, introduce science at a young age, because it's really important to get these skills to them where they may not normally experience it. Just recently, I had a call with Chevron, and they are going to fund our fishing clinics next year. So it's things like that that really help us. So recently, I also worked with Plaquemines Parish government, the sheriff's office, Entergy, and a council member and community members, and finally with Gulf Star Gulf of Mexico Alliance. What we did is we did something called a CRI. That is a Community Resiliency Index. And the purpose of this document, it provides a really easily understood metric for how at risk your community is and for the impacts of disasters. And in our situation, the disasters are typically tropical storms and hurricanes. So we meet with various members, we identify needs, and then we produce a document which basically identifies problems that the community can address before a disaster and where resources should be allocated to help with that disaster. Another part of this project is that Gulf Star reached out to us and they wanted to partner with Sea Grant and Port Sulphur in particular. And we are going to use the grant money they gave us, which was $65,000, and we're going to do a community resiliency project. The group that put together the CRI will ultimately decide the project that they want to fund, and we're working on planning, development, and hopefully completion of the project by next year. But I mentioned that we do a lot of commercial fisheries. These are just a few things that I do. Every spring, I say, well, really late winter, I do TED checks for the shrimping industry. I get the NOAA gear guys in from Mississippi. We visit all the ports in Lower Plaquemines Parish. We go from boat to boat over a week period and we check their TEDs, make sure that they are up to regulation, there's no damage, and that they're installed correctly. This may seem pretty small, but if Coast Guard boards their boats and their TEDs are installed incorrectly, they can be fined. They can be facing loss of their catch. And over the years, NOAA has estimated that we've saved fishermen over $10,000 in citations by going and doing these TED checks before they really get out there on the boat and doing a lot of shrimping. I also hold a lot of fishermen workshops and training events each year. I do these in a group setting, or more often than not, it's at someone's house where I go to their house and I train them on any number of things that they really requested. A lot of it's business management, but I also do things whenever there's new regulation changes to the industry. I work with the for-hire industry, a lot of soft-shell crab processing. And we've also started doing a lot more work with reef fish, and we should be having a reef fish workshop in Venice either at the end of the year or the very beginning of the year. We also have our South Shore Direct program. It's a free program and website that helps local fishermen connect directly with the public and their communities. It helps them sell their catch and help create working relationships. I also do the training on this website too, because a lot of fishermen are not computer savvy. So I walk them through the program. I walk them through all the training, the proper licensing, seafood techniques, and how to interact with the public. Some upcoming projects for next year, we have our Louisiana Fisheries Forward Summit. It'll be March 1st, 2023. This is a biannual event that we put on for the members of all the commercial fishing industries, fishermen, docks, processors, mariners. It's all for them. Right now, we have over 50 vendors and exhibits, things that people go to look for, or any legal or regulatory updates, any new information about gear and electronics, or mechanics and hydraulics. There's a ton of on-hand demonstrations. We actually have the gear at the venue that they can test it. Coast Guard comes out, they bring the helicopter, we do safety demonstrations with them. So it's a full hands-on event. And then finally, I know you guys already heard from 4-H and from horticulture. So we're going to work together next year, and the goal is to develop coastal roots programming in Plaquemines Parish schools. Students from second grade all the way up to high school are taught how to be environmental stewards of their natural resources by establishing native plant nurseries at their schools. So the idea is that they grow the seedlings, they take care of them all year, and then they get to plant them before the end of the school year. As you can imagine, this is a costly thing, building greenhouses for schools, but we are working towards finding some grant money to make these things happen. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Ms. Newberry?
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. It's always a learning experience. Y'all keep presenting more things, and it's good to hear that it's a free program and it's all grant money. I think I've asked this question before, and I don't recall the answer. Have y'all been to the school board with this presentation?
No, not as a group.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think y'all do a great project, and the only thing, we teaching fishermen how to put TEDs on, but the diversion's going to kill the turtles. So, but thank you. Any more questions, administration, audience? Come.
The summit is at the Pontchartrain Center. We hold it in Kenner because it's statewide, so we try to make it more accessible for the west side of the state as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, council. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Next item.
Item 9E. An ordinance to amend the 2022 manpower structure and operating expenditure budgets and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Cognovich.
I'll offer as for a
We
second.
do have changes. On lines 6 and 7, a second whereas has been added. That reads, whereas $165,336.38 was received from insurance proceeds due to damage from Hurricane Ida.
Those changes I'll offer as for a second. Second by Mr. Roussel. Any questions? Administration, audience, machine's open. Mr. Bartholomew? Passes 8-0. Thank you.
Agenda item number 4, status report by the parish president.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Few updates. Update on the compromise of the hack. As of last Thursday, we were fully operational, with the exception, I think, of District 9. Has that been on yet, put on?
Phones are still out.
Phones are still out, okay. We're working on that, but anyone else, I think, is still up and running, and we're all full operational. We did have a glitch in the internet the other day, but it wasn't to do with any kind of compromise or hack, and that was brought back up by our IT department. So cross our fingers. We have a lot of protection in place now. We've done a lot of firewalls and a lot of restructuring, so we hope that we're in a better place than we were before. So right now, if there's any issues in anybody's department or office, please let us know. We'll try to get on as fast as we can. We got notification this week. We got another almost $5 million from the state with mitigation, so that brings us roughly up to about $8 million of mitigation for construction. Also elevations, so it's two different things. We are taking applications right now to the end of September. So we encourage those residents in those areas. The legislation that was passed, it did say the Ironton, the West Point, Lahash, and the Braithwaite area. And so we encourage those who have not registered. It's online, or we do have applications at the office. So by September, we'll be closing all that. There is a fundraiser this Sunday for Lil Yaya at the Jesuit Bend Park from 1 to 5. We encourage you to come out and try to help them. It's an ice cream fundraiser for them. It's a yearly event. We'd like to say congratulations to two of our workers. We've lost two good ones. Tommy retired. Tommy Surpass, our finance manager, retired after 33 years of service. His last day was Friday, so we wish him well. Also, Karen Myers in our engineering department has retired. She had 31 years, so two pieces of the glue, we're going to have to replace, and it's going to be tough. But we wish them very well on their retirement. And I want to mention just a little bit about the Orchard study that's on the agenda today. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. I want to make a statement, and then I'll close it out. The Orchard study is a plan that's complete and a precise evaluation for a competitive workforce. The comptroller and assistant finance director and our directors have worked very hard on this process. The analysis that you have before you is accurate. Our workforce, which is a phenomenal workforce, needs to have a competitive wage and be compensated for their hard work. We must do everything in our power to maintain that level of workforce as we currently have, and grow a stronger workforce for the future for our parish on competitive salaries. So today, you will hear from the administration, the finance department, and all of our directors who have dedicated countless hours addressing this issue. Please listen carefully to all the information and ask questions pertaining to this issue. When all the conversations are finished, I hope this vote is a unanimous decision for the outstanding employees we have and for the future of Plaquemines Parish. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll answer any questions on my report, and if not, I would request that we try to move to 9H.
Mr. Bartholomew?
Yes, go back to the question about the monies. Those for elevation repairs or what? That 5 million?
That we had 2 million.
But
We
you
got
had
another
some more.
5.9.
So it's 7 million?
So it's almost close to $8 million.
Okay,
of fund.
and that's going to be disseminated through what process?
The reconstruction process, of what I understand, is only $150,000. That's reconstruction.
Of the home itself, of the building itself?
Just the reconstruction, correct.
Of the building?
Elevation is now going to be based on area or square footage of what they had, the resident had prior to the storm.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not capping the elevation grants because we know constructions are higher in price. So what we did is said it's more of a fair process if whatever somebody had a house, a double wide or a smaller trailer. It's based on the area of what they had or the square footage of what they had before.
During the storm?
During the
When they
storm, yes,
enacted
sir.
The storm enacted?
Yes, sir. Whatever they had before it was destroyed, before the storm.
So the question now is that they can be eligible for the reconstruction and elevation?
That is a question I'll have to find out. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's either or they could use both.
Yeah.
Any reconstruction would have to be elevated.
I know, that's my question.
Yeah, so it would be reconstructed at elevation.
It would be both?
Yes, sir.
So that's what it is, okay, so I can let people know what it's what.
But I'll get a clarity on that.
Okay then.
Okay.
All right. And that's all I have at this time. And also those applications that were received earlier would be those that applied to that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I've got a lot of phone calls about it because people was trying to send in the emails and all, but it wasn't going through because of getting hacked. So now they're
Okay.
able to start sending it in.
Yeah, please. But that's a good point. Thank you, Mr. Connie. But somebody could have got on at the time we were down. But encourage them to not that we negated to take the application, we just couldn't. But make sure. And if you do have any struggle, just let us know. We'll try to reach out to the applicant.
Who do you have to contact to validate that the information was received?
Ms.
If they
Hilda
did it
Lott.
online. Miss Hilda Lott?
Hilda Lott, yes.
You got that number? You offhand? Because I lost all my numbers.
Okay. I'll write it down.
I'll get it.
I'll write it down for you. All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Blink?
Yes, certainly, Mr. President. For folks watching at home, where can residents go online to find the elevation application?
I believe it's on the website. I don't know which tab it's under. Would you actually know? But I believe it's under, I want to say grants or emergencies or something. But let me find out, Mr. Blank. I'm not sure.
Any other questions? Ask it to us, Mr.
Yeah, hey, I'm asking to you guys, but you got to answer it. Hey, you said that's for elevation and reconstruction? I mean, because let's be honest, just an average trailer costing you about $75,000, $80,000. When you're at elevation, you're looking at about another over 100. So those grants gonna be like what, 200,000, or are you gonna put a cap on that, or how that gonna work? Because some of that could get pretty expensive. You only got $5-8 million. That's not a lot of dealing you could do with that. Yeah, I mean, let's be real about it.
Wait, let me answer the first part of the question. The first part of the question, I'm not sure if you could use both to elevate and reconstruct. I'm gonna find that out. I'm gonna give you guys give you an answer. There's not a cap on elevation. There will be a justification that how big your home was, and that's what because when we did a cap before I was here, they did a cap to allow more people to get involved into the program. I get that. Construction costs have skyrocketed. So 150 is not going to get you a lot. So we want to make sure those who we get to are those who are eligible. And let me clarify too. These applications are being taken in by us, but given to a program manager, so to say. And they were collecting the applications and presenting them to the state or to GOSEP. They go to GOSEP. GOSEP sends them to FEMA. So they reviewed all through. So some people will not be eligible, but it's not us. So I want to make that clear that we're not making any of the decisions. Those decisions will go through this program manager to GOSEP to the federal government. And then they will determine who is eligible and who will not be eligible. So, but that's what I can tell you.
It's just that there's a vast need, but there's only so much money, that's all.
There is a criteria. The legislation that was passed by the council said the affected areas of Ironton, West Point, Lahash, and Braithwaite. So those people will have priority. I know everyone in the parish is trying to get elevation grants, but because of the legislation, those people will have priority.
Mr. Henry, I'd like to know where you're getting them prices for trailers, because I ain't found that. Mr. Blink?
Yeah, sure. Can we talk about how the process was determined in regard to elevation, right? So these, can you mention again how it's prioritized?
Okay, we turn all the applications into a company called HGA.
More the value of the home.
What's that?
The value of the home. You were talking about, or the square footage, right? So I'm worried about that. That might not be the most equitable way to do the process, right? So you might have a house that's worth $1 million.
Well,
that are worth a lot less, but you could get more families elevated for the amount of money.
Yes, Mr. Blink. I think we determined by giving the way it was done in the past, everyone was given $150,000 to get more people eligible. The problem with that, if we give everyone $150,000 or put a cap on that, then they can't raise their home, so they're going to have to come out of pocket anyway. Okay. I understand your logic, and it just is something the administration, with the help of HGA, have come to decide that it would be more in a fair way to get people who had a home that was occupied before the storm hit, and in that square footage, they get that based amount that we don't set, that FEMA or GOSEP sets, to have those parameters to build up higher. So.
All right. Okay. That sounds like the decision y'all made. Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Newberry?
The $8 million, is that an evaluation that FEMA did on the area of the homes that were affected? The $8 million, is that an evaluation?
That's just a number that came down from the feds that was dispersed. That was our allotment that was dispersed from, Terrebonne was in there, St. James was in there, St. John was in there, St. Charles. Everyone got elevation grants, but this is just.
And look, I thank the government for giving us grant money for people who need this, but I'm just curious to know how they came up with that figure. I would hope to see that they did an evaluation for us to get that amount of money. That way we do have enough money to And then we do cap, you said we had a 150,000 cap, is that correct?
100,000, no, 150,000 was before.
Oh, okay.
We didn't cap it, no.
We didn't cap it?
No.
Okay. Because I know a lot of people, even if it's just 10, 20,000, they just.
Well,
can't afford to sell.
let me say, 150,000 is capped for reconstruction. That's not our rules, that's FEMA's rules.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that is capped by FEMA
Okay.
for reconstruction. Elevation is not capped.
Okay. So are we having issues with anyone that can't even afford the excess amount of money? Have y'all spoke with any?
Not yet, because we're still in the process of taking applications. I mean, it's a long process, it's a tedious process, but right now, we're just gathering the information and handing them over, so.
Okay, thank you, Kirk. But on Mr. Blink X, where it is on the Plaquemines Parish website when it comes up. It's
You
just-
found it, huh?
Yeah, as it comes up.
It's on the main page? Okay.
Yes, it is on the main page.
Trying to make it clear for folks at home. Thank you.
Because I'd like to know how they got the figures, because Orleans Parish got over $20 million.
That's, Mr. I can't answer that one, Mr. Congress, sorry.
Mr. Bartholomew?
Yes, I'm concerned about, I'm just thinking about it. In the past, we have had buildings, homes elevated, and nobody ever lives in them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a problem to me. How can you elevate something and create something and nobody lives in it? That money just sits there in the home instead of decaying. So that means that all that money is gone, where if we'd have put it in people that's living, it still would be there. Well, we lost a lot of people because of that. So I hope we can figure a way to monitor that some kind of way.
I guess we will try to. Look, that's before my time, but we'll
I understand.
try,
I'm just
what I say
that.
going forward.
I just observed that.
Right, going forward, we will look into that.
And I hope that doesn't happen, this time when you're going to monitor it. That's great.
Okay.
Make sure it doesn't happen, because we do have a lot of people that need the help. And relative to people who just want to elevate a home they don't even live in, because it's free. Thank you, sir.
Gotcha.
Any other questions?
Good afternoon. Kurt, are you all going to provide assistance for the people with these applications? It's a very complicated process.
We are providing assistance if they come into the office, yes. If they fill it out online, then the application is forwarded to the program manager.
Well, those three districts have been hurt pretty bad. It seemed like we could put somebody in those districts to go talk to the people that have been damaged and teach them how to fill out these applications, because I can tell you, if you don't get it exactly right and you miss dot an I or T, it goes in the garbage can. And it's not fair to the people there. I think we ought to provide somebody. Second, very quickly, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I believe HGA, the company, the project manager that we have on, is helping those who are having any problem. And I believe they were reviewing them as they come in, and if there's any problems, they'll call in the people.
Okay, because we had that problem when I was on those boards in Baton Rouge, getting the applications processed. Anyway, they were throwing them out before, and there was nobody in the fields. Yet on the other side of the fields, they said you don't have to pay the money back, which was misleading the public big time. Very quickly, you still have $5.5 million that's coming in Baton Rouge for that apartment complex. It's never been built down here, that you may want to ask the state to convert it back to elevation money.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Rob Forshit. Just put a pencil to it. 800 million, which is what you just said. 8 million. 8 million, which is what Ms. Trudy Newberry just mentioned. So you divide that by approximately 300,000 a home for a building and elevation. It'd be around 300,000. That's 26 houses. That's it. 26.
Thank you. Any other questions?
The president requests that we go to 9H. Does the chairman concur? 9H, an ordinance to approve a new pay plan and classification schedule adopted by the Civil Service Commission on August 4, 2022, to be effective 30 days after approval by the Plaquemines Parish Council or on a date set by the Plaquemines Parish Council, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gouy, I believe there is
We have a substitute. Would you
substitution.
like to read it?
Yeah.
On line 2, on August 4th, 2022 has been struck out. Also on line 3 and 4, or on a date set by the Plaquemines Parish Council has also been removed. On line 5 and 6, at its meeting on August 4th, 2022 has been removed. On line 6, 7, and 8, the following has been added. Presented by the Archer Company at its meeting on August 4th, 2022, and approved an implementation plan at its meeting on August 8th, 2022. The remainder of that whereas has been struck out. A new whereas has been added on lines 10 and 11, which reads, whereas after careful review, consideration, and discussion, that administration recommends unclassified employees receive a cost of living increase of 3%. In the first section on line 16, the word approves has been struck out and is replaced by adopts. Also on line 16, going into 17, recommended by the Plaquemines Parish Council and has been removed. On line 18, approves the has been removed, as well as approved, and it's replaced with adopted. On line 19, the date has changed to August 8th, 2022. Also on line 19, after the Plaquemines Parish Council authorizes, the Civil Service Director has been added, and the Civil Service Commission has been added. On line 20, pay plan on the beginning of the first full pay period. On 21, the word following, 30 days after. Its approval has been removed, and in its place, adoption of this ordinance. And then on lines 21 and 22, by the Plaquemines Parish Council has been removed. On the word direct, S has been added. There's a new section 2, which says it hereby approves for all unclassified employees to receive a cost of living increase of 3%, effective at the beginning of the first full pay period, 30 days after the adoption of this ordinance. And then the previous section 2 has become section 3.
Councilmember Gui.
Dr. Gui, you offer? Dr. Gui offers. There a second? Second by Mr. Alborough. Dr. Gui.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I met with members of the administration a 3 days ago. And during that discussion, questions kept being raised, legitimate questions, that pertain to certain aspects of the plan. As you can see here, this is just a portion of what I have, and there's a lot more that more information that people may want to pursue. What I would like to do today is to have an explanation, Mr. President, and any of your staff, and I think we may have someone that we can get online.
Yes.
We can, okay. And I'll leave it at that and turn the floor over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Gui. Dr. Gui, I'm sorry.
Get that right.
All right.
Excuse me, I have one comment before you start, Mr. President. The legislation is an ordinance of finance. Should that not be taken care of at the county seat? That's only a question I have.
Should it be taken care of what now?
The legislative act should be done at the county seat because of what it's in detail, the finances and everything else, according to our charter.
No, sir. I do not
Say no?
think that is one of the items that require to be done at the county seat.
Just wanted to
But I will review the charter one more time just to be safe.
All right. I remember you had that discussion before, you was mentioning that on other stuff, and I don't want us to have put ourselves in a binding.
The charter items that have to be considered at the county seat is the levying of taxes, the imposing of any licenses, permits, zoning issues, and alienating or encumbering immovable property. Those are the 4 topics that we suggest be done at the county seat. Adopting a pay plan is adopting a pay plan or even changing employment policies are not one of them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, I'm joined here today by my comptroller next to me, our directors at the end of the table. Our civil service director is here, and I believe on the line is Jim with the Orchard study. Do we know if he's on the line?
I was waiting for you to say something.
Okay.
Should be on the line now.
Okay. All right. So this is a payment plan study we did. We haven't had one since 2008. So we implemented a plan, the administration implemented a plan, came back. We've had some discussions, many discussions back and forth of what would be a fair way or a way of trying to be in a competitive field. I know that you guys always look to me and why grass is not cut, why is trucks are not moving, why is trash not picking up, why ditches not being dug. And it's been a struggle, to say the least, to hire people and maintain those employees. So we have to do something different. And doing something different is not always easy, but it's something that we have to do what's right. We have employees who've been here 10, 15, 20 years and still struggle and have a second job because of the wages that they make here. So we know that it's time. It's time to do something so we can be more competitive. We can hire more people. Right now, I have 58 vacancies. I'm operating with 250 employees, and I have 308 budgeted. So each day is a challenge. Each issue is a challenge, and it gets tougher each day. So I'm going to turn it over to our comptroller to give you a brief explanation on what we think, what we can do with this plan, how we can fund it, and how we'll make it work. So now that Tommy Serpaz is not here anymore, if people don't know, Rochelle is now our comptroller, so we're going to turn it over to her.
Hi. Finance Department was asked to compile some estimates, some numbers to implement this plan. The implementation plan that was adopted by the Civil Service Board this week was to take an employee's total steps earned through 2021 and take 55% of those steps. So say an employee that was maxed out on step 60 currently, you would take 55% of that and they would now be placed on step 33. To implement this plan for the remainder of the year, we are estimating it to be about $300,000. For a full year would be about 1.2, a little bit more than that. But that's including all of our vacancies too that we currently have, which is actually 64 right now. The vacancy total for the year as of right now is over 2 million. So if you take a little bit more than half of that, since we're a little bit more than half of the year through, that's 700 and something thousand that we have available to fund this year. Ongoing in the current, in next year and in the year after that, I can tell you that the funding should come probably from sales taxes. That has doubled the last 4 months. We have collected already this year $6 million. We estimated and budgeted $6 million for the whole year. So next year we would at least raise the budget to 10 million from 6. The 10% royalties are a little bit higher right now, too. We would probably raise that at least $1 million for next year. So that would be your funding mechanisms for the future years. And to fund it for the remaining of this year would come from the vacancy funding. Are there any specific questions that y'all want to know, or?
I'm all for giving raises. I know they work hard and need to get them more money, but sales tax is up right now because of Venture Global's billing. In 2 years, when they stop building, it's going back down.
Well, good point, Mr. Kagnovich, but we believe that they will be building many years because there's another phase that's coming up. We also know that there's a Gator pipeline that's not come online, and they're not subject to the ITEP either, so we'll be getting more money from them. So that's not even come online yet. I understand your concerns. but we see the trend moving up, and we hope that, we could tell you guys that, an investment in our workforce is an investment in our future. Because look, I worked many storms with these guys, and they work countless hours. And I can't say enough about them because I've been there, I've done it. But they need to be comforted to know that they will be able to take home some more money. If you know, guys, right now we're at 8.5% of inflation. So if you gave a 3 to 5% raise, they're still not up to what the norm is happening in the world. So I will address every question and try to make you guys understand the importance of why we need to do this.
I know it's important, but I don't want to give them a raise today and have to cut them in January or lay them off. And now we got ConocoPhillips isn't going to be paying that big amount of money anymore neither.
Well, we've had discussions with the assessor, and there will probably be a little bit of downsides in the property and the Valorem tax, but we don't see that as a big hit this year. And also, there's been some investor talk about taking over, so that's on the horizon. We feel promising about that also.
We also spoke with the assessor, and she said that she really believed that the amount that we received this year for Phillips 66 would be comparable to what we received last year. So they really would not be that great of a reduction.
That's good, and it's all good hearing it today, but this is the first we heard about it. We've been asking for mid-year budget reviews for months now, and they was going through their audit and couldn't do it. And I've talked to Tommy before he retired, and he said we was going to have money for budgets, for raises, but not like we giving out today. And like I said, I don't want to give everybody a raise, and come January after the budget in November, I got to lay people off.
Well, we feel that we won't have to lay anybody off. We're pretty comfortable where we're at right now, and hope that you understand we're at an all-time low workforce. So there's no cutting to be done, because there's no cutting to have.
If you don't have the money, you
well, we believe we will be financially in a better spot.
Thank you. Mr. Blank?
Yeah, sure. Can anybody tell me what is the expected ad valorem tax of the Gator Express pipeline?
We don't know, Mr. Blaine, because they haven't come online, but we believe it's going to be substantial.
Does anybody know? It's important information for this decision. Okay.
But that's extra money. We're not even counting that right now. So.
Yield. Ms. Newberry?
I spoke to Belinda Hazel also today, and she told me that come September 1st, you should get the figures for the next year. So I'm just going to ask for a deferral until we get those numbers in from her, just so we can have some confidence that those numbers are not going to be very low.
We are confident that, look, I had that conversation with Miss Belinda too, and I don't feel, I think this should be taken up today, and I think, this sends a message to our workforce. We're behind our workforce.
I agree, Kirk.
Okay, I mean,
You've been asking the board, for a long time for this, and the workers deserve it. They wear more than one hat.
And I stand behind this today, and hope that I would hope there would be a unanimous decision that shows we have confidence and we believe in our workforce.
Yeah, and I know you do, and I strongly agree that they need a raise. And it's unfortunate that the last plan was done in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So, and for us to sit here and battle this, it's kind of depressing for the employees. But the only thing I just recommend, I'd like to see those numbers come in from Belinda before we move forward. That's just my suggestion.
I understand, yeah.
Mr. Alborough?
Trudy, thank you. And I want to agree, but I just, after talking with Belinda, talking with the administration and our dear workers that have stuck with us, I just want us to realize, though, this is only a 3% increase. And if anybody thinks we're going to fill all these positions next year with a 3% increase, it's just not going to happen. So that $2 million is not a real number. It's not going to be, in my opinion, probably half of that. And again, at 3%, in the business I run, I've increased my wages, some of them 50%, 60%. Still can't fill the position. So a 3% increase in salaries is not going to have them flooding to our doors coming in. But we need to protect and stop the bleeding on the ones we have. So I would ask that we seriously consider this and vote yes.
Mr. Bartholomew?
Yes, I am also in favor, but I would prefer that when we have our budget hearing in November, all that be a part of that process, because then we have a true document to work with and from, specifically identifying the resources, where it's coming from, and how long it's going to be in position to fund what we're going to fund. Now, other issues are very important as well. We have ambulance needs to be done. We have fire trucks need to be done. We have firehouses needs to be done, and on and on and on. So where is the value? The value is that we keep everybody happy. The main thing is that we are an operational institution, and we're supposed to be able to provide services. But in order to provide service, we need the people, employees. All right? I understand that very well. And I don't think November will be a bad problem to get it straight and get it finalized, and it's done. There's no assumption. It's a fact. When will be presented in November. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Roussel?
Yes, Mr. Albro, would you elaborate on the 3% that you were referring to?
That was just the unclassified is 3%. So what is, I'm not off the top of my head, I don't know what the percentage increase is for the others. But it's not, again, we're not going to fill these positions.
No, I know, but since we just received this yesterday, my concern is that how much money of one-time funding do we have in the 2022 budget to balance the budget this year? How much of one-time money did we use?
One-time money?
Yes.
What do you consider one-time money? Like
non-recurring revenue.
I understand that, but the Phillips 66 money is gone?
No.
Okay.
Look,
I'm trying to see what you're trying to say. Is sales tax one-time money?
No.
Okay.
The question is this, Mr. Lapine. How much non-recurring revenue did we use to balance the 2022 budget?
Could you answer? I don't have an answer. I could ask my finance department. I don't have an answer.
I think we had ambulances, the Wise Care Center, 4-H.
The concern I have is that we sat here last year, and look, everybody at this table wants to give the employees a raise. And there's no question about that. I think the way that y'all have approached this, while your directors marshaled up the employees and brought them in here to tell us, to look us in the eyes, to make us vote for this, is irresponsible on your part. Because, as Mr. Bartholomew stated, we can address this in the budget hearing in 2 months and finalize all of this, unless you want to give us a budget prior to November the 1st, and we can do it sooner, because we've been asking for this budget review for months. Now, to try to clarify this, I would like to know how much in the existing budget, like the ambulance service, we had a discussion about that we had to come up and supplement the ambulance service to keep it running with one-time revenue, was my recollection. So, that's not true, Mr. Epley?
That's not my recollection, sir.
Well, what is your recollection?
Well, the ambulance service has been supplemented out of the general fund for several years. Even when it was under fire, we were still using general fund money to supplement the ambulance service. So the general fund money is budgeted in along, even though ambulance is under public health. Now, ambulance revenues in 2008 were around $300,000, and this year they're going to be about $1.3 million. So we've done a substantial job increasing the revenue, but that's still not going to pay for the service. Right now, we currently have about 12 employees with the ambulance service, we actually need about 24 to run the service correctly. So, and it's been on the agenda several times, and we've spoken about it several times. We've been advertising for 2 years for employees for the ambulance service, and we don't have any interest because we don't pay enough money. We don't pay a competitive wage.
And that is one factor that we need to address, and that's why it's important that we look at the whole picture. Because you're saying that we don't have one-time money in the budget? We don't?
Yeah, we did.
We do? So how much is that?
I don't remember what the amount was, but I do remember us taking from the fund balances at the very end to put back in items that y'all wanted in the budget. But I don't remember what the specific amount was.
Recreation?
Yeah, remember recreation.
Ambulances was another
Yeah.
one?
Right, so my point is this. You know, for the last 5 years, we have been operating, supplementing this budget with BP funds, emergency funds, those type of things. And everybody, you know, has squeezed the payroll down to where now we have 54, or whatever the number was, 64 vacancies. Now, we want to squeeze that down some more and get rid of those positions to be able to pay for this raise?
No, we're only taking the funding for the first half of the year of these vacant positions.
And
They
so
would
the
still
full amount
exist.
is funded for the next year
They would be.
with the 1.2 million?
Mm-hmm.
So that'll maintain the workforce at the current rate today.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one-time money that I'm referring to, we don't know what that number is. And so, Mark, as far as to balance the budget, because you're balancing that budget off of the funds that you just now are getting ready to take out and put it into this raise. That money was budgeted.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, as Mr. Bartholomew stated, that for 60 days or less, we can solve this problem and we'll have a full year's budget review. And I would ask that we try to do that and implement the raise for the employees that are here so that they know that they will not be laid off next year as what happened in the past. How many employees did you lay off last time we had a layoff?
The last time was 21 employees.
21?
Yeah.
Right, and then that was because we had vacancies.
We had that,
Right?
yes,
So we sucked
yes.
up all of the vacancies. So we talk about not having manpower, but we have shrunk the workforce down considerably. And I would prefer to see us look at what it takes to run this parish with manpower, with no one-time expenditures of funds from non-recurring revenues. And if we get a windfall from Venture Global, which we say we are, which is great, we'll be able to do that. But we will all know at the same time that we are not setting up a false premise. Because what happened was, in 2015, when we came in here, at least when I came in here, I inherited a budget that was so phony that we had to go back in and reduce it and cut it and add fees to everybody. So what's the purpose of us not looking at it holistically other than the election? That is a carrot that's being held over these employees' heads, saying, come here, look us in the eyes, and if you don't vote for it today, then vote against them. And you can laugh all you want, but that's what's being told to you. And that's what employees have called me and told me that the directors are doing. So to play a political football with these employees is not a good thing. And to do it responsibly by having a budget hearing and fixing the problem is where I think we should be. Because I support raising all of their pay to a fair living wage. And the proof of that was me going to the Civil Service Board trying to get the deckhands at least up to $15 an hour, which when I left, I thought that we were there. And then the Civil Service Board, and she's sitting right there, knows, I'm talking to you, Ms. Rochelle, that when I left that meeting, I was under the impression we had at least a $15 an hour raise, and y'all informed us that it wasn't because of the hours worked per year, correct? So that's the type of thing that we need to address to make sure we're all on the same page, because we all want them to be fairly paid. So you know, every one of you out there, I want you to understand that we want to give you money, but we don't want to give it to you and then take it away or lay off people and not be able to put another employee next to you to help you do your job. And for 60 days right now, if we can get to a budget hearing, we can solve this problem if the money is there, as they say. That's my position, and I think it's a responsible position. I don't think that it's irrational to ask that. I think it's irrational to ask us to go do this without a budget hearing, to make sure that we set the government up for a full year, not knowing where we're coming from. I mean, I'll yield on that and answer any questions or have further discussion.
Mr. LaFrance?
Yes. During the last budget hearing, we have to supplement our budget with some of the money from the BPR spill. We helped our budget. We took $4 million and gave it to the port for the operation of the ferry. And this proposal here, I don't hear anything about, a couple of meetings ago, we don't have any tractors, we can't cut the grass. Well, I don't see anything about buying new equipment. Where's the new tractors? Where's the new ambulance? Where's the new excavators? I mean, I had 2 ditches dug in my district for the last 4 years. When we talk to employees say they need equipment. They need equipment. Not too long ago, administration, y'all asked us to borrow $50 million. $50 million. For the last couple of years, we had to give Mr. Surpass permission to go borrow money to try to make the payroll, just in case if he had needed the money. Not too long ago, we hear about our pumps, the drainage pumps. Half of them not working. Some at 10%. I mean, some at 25%. Some at 50%. Where's the money to fix these pumps? Here's something that they never heard of before. I guess council have never heard this before. Where's your rainy day fund? Where's the proposal for a rainy day fund? Where is it? These are some of the questions that need to be answered. That's I end with it. Oh, before I go, I want the employees to know I'm never for a percentage raise. I'm never, because y'all get the least amount of money. They'll give y'all a nickel, and the people sitting in the office get $1.
Mr. LaFrance, this is not a percentage raise for
That's
classified
incorrect.
employees. This is a competitive wage for classified employees. This study was done by a professional firm that went out and did comparisons on what other wages were being paid for the similar work that these employees are doing. Some of these employees are going to get 20% raises. It is a competitive wage comparison, not a percentage wage comparison.
And when I look at what y'all gave us, it doesn't show what you was paying them previously compared what is the proposal.
Mr. LaFrance, do you have this one in front of you? This is the one we wanted to highlight and show you. This is the Orchard study. This is just recommendations from the Orchard study. And we can go over them real quick because the audience doesn't know.
But again, Mr. Lapine, this should have been presented to us at least a couple of weeks for us to look over all this.
We've given you some information. Look, I would love for you guys, again, I'll say it again, we're not playing politics. This is about people, okay? And I'm getting tired of people saying it's about if it's about people, put your money where your mouth is and vote on them today. If you don't and you want to wait 2 months and you hem and haw around and you find something else that's wrong, then you won't be giving these people's raises. We're here because we believe in our employees, and we stand behind them. And the less employees that we have is making it harder to get the grass cut, to get the trash picked up. I don't know how to express that more to you guys, but every day we get a work request. Every day we get 20 work requests, and we try to catch up, and we do what we can. But you know why? It's because we don't have the employees. Well, I have a 6-man football team, and that 6-man football team is killing it. They're killing it. So they're here because they're concerned. They're concerned to know what's going to happen tomorrow with them. Am I going to have to go get another job? Am I going to have to feed my family or go on food stamps? Because I don't make that much money. So that's what's bothering. That's what keeps me up at night.
Mr. Lupine, just at the last council meeting, you told us you had 11 tractors parish-wide. That's what you told us. Again, your proposal, I don't see no new tractors on here.
That's
what you told. Is that what you told us?
Can I answer if you stop screaming at me?
Yeah,
Okay.
At the same time, I allowed you to speak, but let me finish saying what I have to say, and then you can rebuttal. But again, you told us we had 11 tractors parish-wide. Again, your proposal, I don't see anything about new tractors.
I'm not talking about proposals for a tractor. I'm talking about proposals for getting people raises.
Okay.
I did. Can I speak?
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I did tell you have 11 tractors. We have 19 in the shop. We had 30 tractors. About 8 of those tractors are probably going to auction because they're so old. Y'all gave us money in March. We put that toward new tractors. We getting them in January. I can't control that. Now, when we take the $180,000 from the state every year that we are allotted, that's the state gives us money to take care of the right. We're going to put that in capital outlay and buy tractors every year. So when that rolls around with that $180,000, we're going to buy tractors. So we'll have a bigger fleet, a more new fleet. So that's how we're going to take that out of prom and operate, and it's going to be a hit in prom. Yes, it is. But we want to get new tractors through that. That's been talked with my director, and that's been talked with my superintendent. So yes, that is a plan we have. But what we're talking about right now is pay raises, or giving people more money for the job they're doing. That's what we're talking about.
Mr. LaFrance?
I'm finished.
The thing that gets me mad, y'all gave these out over a month ago, showing employees what they was going to be making, the highs and lows. I seen it. I got this yesterday. Then they had an employee quit. Sent a letter out showing where y'all taking from solid waste south to fix pump stations by a carport. Then y'all hiring electricians to fix pumps out of the enterprise fund. You can't do that. We the ones who put money in the budget for a certain thing, and it's not being spent there. Had $250,000 to put the pump in the pump station in Boothville. Where did it get moved? To the baseball quad. Another $75,000 got moved from drainage to the baseball quad. So how do we know what the budget is if we don't never hear the budget?
Those are incorrect, Mr. Cognovich. We have put the pump station down.
I had to get the money from another project.
Correct. And we didn't take 250 to put the quads. You keep referring to that because that money was moved a long time ago, and you still have heartburn on that.
That's right. I had
Okay.
to for a
But
pump station
that was before my
to
time.
save people's houses from flooding. But a baseball field's better than the people's houses.
No,
Mr. Blink?
Certainly. I just want some clarity on this. So, for instance, let's take a typical position, and you could decide on one that's unfilled right now. I'm just wanting to see how this really shakes out. Is this going to be more than inflation? It's been a little while since this has happened here. Things obviously cost a lot more. So if one of y'all that is familiar with your particular workforce can pick a sample position and we can go through it so folks maybe can understand, because this is the first time I'm seeing this document. I know we've been having some email issues here.
In your packet.
Sure, I know, but this is an exercise for the people at home and the people listening. And
Telling you to grab this piece of paper.
Sure. Which page, please?
The one with the columns and it says start and salary comparison. I think it was the second or third page in the packet.
Sure. Okay.
Tractor driver 2 was the
All right.
first one.
We'll go with tractor driver number 2. Okay. All right.
Okay. A truck driver under Archer would start with an annual salary of $33,931,
In the current salary now?
$25,732. That is an increase of $8,199. A tractor driver under Archer would start at $32,106. We currently pay $24,307 for an annual increase of $7,800. A master AC mechanic, the Archer plan proposes to pay $41,230,000 a year. We currently are paying $32,857 a year for an annual increase of $8,373. You want to go through all of them or just?
I'm just trying to give folks at home and folks in the audience a little bit of peek inside this thing. I really do think we need more time to understand this. This is very wide-reaching and is going to have an impact for a long time, at least until the next meeting. I'm happy to, if we do decide to go forward with the raises, to make those retroactive to where those employees don't lose any time on this, right? Other members of the board, any thoughts?
You finished?
Yeah, I mean, I want to have a productive discussion about the actual task at hand here. Also, this is going to be funded off the tax revenue of a pipeline, it sounds like, and some sales tax from Venture Global. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that.
No, Mr. Blank, it's not funded off of that. I'm just saying that's going to be extra. We believe it's going to be funded with the help of the increase of sales tax. That's what we're saying.
And due to the reinterpretation of the occupational license taxes, we're annually accruing an additional $600,000 that we were not previously doing. So from year to year, half of the $1.2 million would be paid with the additional occupational licenses increase. So if you look at that, then you're only looking at $600,000 from other sources.
Yeah, I really like to think a lot bigger than, hitting the local small business up with occupational tax.
No, I'm just saying,
what
I'm
I would
just
like to finish saying is,
using that as an example.
Yeah, but I guess where I'm going is, here it is, there's a very large industrial facility being built here that's exempted from paying taxes for 10 years. There's most likely going to be a second phase of this facility, of which, at this point in time, this body sitting here gets to decide if they pay local property taxes or not. That could be potentially tens of millions of dollars annually, and nobody wants to talk about it on this board except for me. And we are looking in the grass for pennies right now and letting the really big money go by us. And nobody wants to really make a big deal or rock the boat. It's very unfortunate. So the pipeline that goes to that facility, it seems to be where we're going to get some of this money, correct? Because as you mentioned, Mr. President, that's what goes on the rolls right away without delay, correct?
Yes, Mr. Blank, that goes on the roll. Again, I'm going to disagree with you and say we're not using that for, as Mr. Burris just stated, we have another excess money coming for occupational license. I'm just making a statement to say that's extra coming online.
Got it. The thing is, we could solve a lot of our own problems if this facility was paying its taxes. If the second phase pays their taxes, we could go buy 70 tractors tomorrow. We could pay everybody $50 an hour. We could do a lot of really good things. We could solve a lot of our own problems. We could throw parish money at home elevation program. That's somewhat equitable. These are things that I would love to see here. And I would say it's the most important issue in this parish right now.
Well,
but I'll yield.
Mr. Blink, I don't think any of us voted on the ITEP for Venture Global to start with. It was a state matter.
I understand, but this next time will be this board.
Okay. Mr. Blank, I respectfully disagree with you. Because of them getting the ITEP, they're here in Plaquemines. They wouldn't be here in Plaquemines if it wouldn't be for the ITEP.
Kirk, the Coast Guard's not going to let a liquefied natural gas ship under the Crescent City connection. There's only so many places with deep water frontage where you can build these facilities. Stop believing that you have to be like ultra competitive or something. There's only so much available land with natural gas. It's us. We win. We get it. It's going to happen here.
I'm going to say again, I respectfully disagree with you, okay? They came here because of that. I mean, I don't believe in unicorns. Sometimes people believe in unicorns. But I know that they came here for a reason, because they got a break. And say what you want, I respectfully disagree with you. They're here They're in our backyard. They'll be here for a long time coming, and they got a couple more phases to build. And by giving them that ITEP, and maybe this board didn't vote for it and the state gave it to them, they're here, and we're seeing the fruits of their labor being here.
We're missing out on tens of millions of dollars annually.
We can't change the ITEP they got.
No, we can't, but the thing is,
Mr. Roussel?
I'm still sitting on this board. I want to let people know.
Mr. Roussel?
It's an impediment to doing good government here.
Mr. Roussel?
Yes, thank you. Look, let's get back to the pay scale that we're talking about. I'm looking at these annual Archer study recommendation salaries. I don't see anything on here that I don't agree with, as far as a tractor driver starting at $32,000. I mean, I don't see that that's a disagreement. I mean, I think that's more than not really even enough. But besides that, let me say this: that when I look at the salaries on this list are not out of line for what I believe they should be paid. My issue is getting a budget that'll accommodate these salaries. And to come here and rush it through today without us even getting a look at it, we got this today. And at first blush, a tractor driver too, $32,000. I'm fighting for a deckhand to get $30,000. A tractor driver, I don't see him that being overpaid. I don't see another truck driver at $33,000. I don't see that being overpaid. So it's not the issue of the pay raise to me. I believe they deserve this money. A master AC mechanic, $41,000. I don't see that as being overpaid. So I'm not disagreeing with the scale. What I'm disagreeing with is the process of not being able to put a budget together so that the government can operate in full light of the public, knowing that we will be able to fund for the entire year everything that we are promising these individuals. That's all I'm saying. And I don't see any reason why we can't address this in a budget hearing. What is the rationale for not addressing this in a budget hearing?
Can I?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Bruce, I'm going to use one of your lines. I'm not going to belabor the point. Okay? So we can defer this. I ask that you review it. I ask all of you that you review it. You got a couple of months. Okay? We can defer it today, or we can withdraw it.
No.
If I wait a minute. If I have your commitment that budget time comes and we don't have this go around when we present a plan again to you guys of the funding source that we have. So I just want to make sure that we're on the same page.
Mr. Lapine, I am on the page of adopting a plan in a budget that projects it for the entire year. And so if y'all agree to present us a budget, a balanced budget for 2023 tomorrow, we can solve this tomorrow.
Well, we don't have that ready for tomorrow, Mr.
I understand that.
Okay.
But my point is that I don't see anybody up here, and I'm not.
But what I don't want to hear is we don't have the information. We don't know what's going on. Here is the information you're going. They're open 24/7. They can be. If you have a question, please call and get the answers. So budget time rolls around and we say, here's our plan. Here's what we project. Let's move forward.
Mr. Lapine, have you ever known me not to ask a question?
Have you ever known me not to ask a question when I have one? You want me to answer that?
Yes, please.
Do you mean intelligent question or just an aggravating question?
Okay, Mr. Lapine, don't get to be dummy. You know, my questions are pertinent and.
You know, we was given this yesterday. I called Rochelle yesterday after I got it, talked to her, and
you did, Mr. Cognovich, and you stayed on the phone for about an hour, and we appreciate that.
I need more time than a couple hours.
Let me say this to the employees: for your employees that were instructed to come here, and look us in the eye. I want you to look me in the eye right now, like you were told to do, and I'm committing to working this budget out with your pay raise in it, as long as the funds are there to balance our budget. So, you can take that for what it's worth, and you can go back and tell your director who told you to come here that you heard it from me. Mr. Lapine, I am willing to work with you to get this done in the budget hearing.
That's what I want to hear, and I'm willing to work with you, Mr. Roussel.
I think we're all willing to do what we have to do to get it done. And
Well, what is most important, and we can argue, we can fuss the whole night, but what's most important is these employees. So I know that y'all understand where we are. Now let's get our heads together and fix it.
I agree. Mr. Barry?
Yeah, I have a question. You have a percentage here on the unclassified as 3%. Is there a percentage, is this based on any type of percentage on the Archer study? I know, or is it just comparable to the area? Have y'all done some numbers and put them together on possible percentages of the difference?
We haven't looked at percentages. The Archer study is a competitive wage study. So all of our employees filled out paperwork on what it is they do on a daily basis. All of those job descriptions were compared to other job descriptions in the area on what those people are being paid and what the competitive wages are for those particular positions. Archer, Jim, the guy that's on the phone in the top corner of that screen, went through and did a comprehensive pay plan study based on competitive wage. All of these are based on competitive wages. They're not based on percentage. They didn't say we're going to give tractor drivers 10% and we're going to give truck drivers 9%.
Okay.
It was all based on competitive wage.
Thank you.
Mr. Bartholomew?
I'm very much in support of giving the employees a raise, meaningful raise. Now, my question is also, will we be considering the 3% annual raise in that budget in November that they get every year or every 2 years they get? Will you include that in there? The percentage raise at 3%? See, that's what I'm talking about. Right. So we got to make sure we get that 3% plus the other money, you see. So why I'm saying that is because I'm just like everybody else. We want to raise, but we want to make sure we have everything in line to keep us whole. And the only way we can be whole is by going through a budgetary process and eliminate what needs to be eliminated or expand upon what we can add to because of the budgetary process. And it's not off the hip, as such, I would say, shooting off the hip. It's factual, documented. It's proof. So there's no objection to getting it done. So, I mean, that's why I said in the budget hearing, I'm done. Everything is documented. Everything is real. There's no assumption. It's a fact. Across the board with every aspect of Plaquemines Parish government. Thank you.
Mr. Roussel?
We all agree that we're going to work to get this done in the budget hearing. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. Any other?
You have our commitment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Audience?
First, I'd like to compliment you all as a council. For once, I've seen you all come together as a whole and look at the issue. What we're concerned about from the public standpoint is we've heard how poor the parish is. We can't get this done, we can't buy this, we can't fund this. But yet, we're going to talk about raises, and there's no question everybody probably needs a raise, and that it's very deserving of everybody. However, until such time as you can prove where you're going to get the funds to support this and all the other activities in this parish, it's ridiculous to talk about one spot this and spot this program on there. We hear about increased millages, increased insurance costs, losing the plant, losing the tax revenue from the alliance. We hear revenue that might come from the port, revenue that may come from global venture, pipelines and stuff. We need to see it for factual stuff. We need to see a budget that shows exactly what our revenue is, where it's coming from. Is it sustainable? Is it going to last 5 years or 10 years out if we're going to give raises? What is it going to take for us to run this parish for the next 10 years on an annualized basis? And you're all starting to make that attempt. I hear each one of y'all express interest in that, in intelligently. But that goes into what you all do. It's the budget hearings. And every year you have budgeting. You have the public that participates in it, and we're starting to see that. As far as money from the port, it's not going to go to the parish. It's going back into the port. As far as any revenue, the parish only gets 17% of any tax increase. So it's kind of ridiculous. Where are we going to get our money from? You need to put it down on a piece of paper You need to spell it out to you all, and you need to look at it. Richard, you come up, you just got this information. You can't digest the information in 2 days, 3 days. It's going to take months to look at everything that you do in this parish and where it's going to get funds from. I know Scott needs tractors and needs manpower. I know he needs $7 million right now that he's short with his budget. I've looked at everyone in the budget. Rob and I have spent great deals of time with you all looking at the last 3 years' budgets. There's no question you need help, but you need to better allocate where your money's going, and is it necessary? And where do we give money away? There's some things we may have to cut back on going forward, and that's a tough decision for you guys. I mean, I've listened to you all talk about it, but coming forward, you need a budget here. And Kurt, I know you need help, and it's tough to do it without any funds, but somewhere along the lines, you got to present budgets. I like to see revenue forecasting committees put together to quarterly look at your budgets and look at your operations and see how you're measuring up like any other business. And I think we need to start running a parish as a business and not as, well, let's fund this one and let's go put this one over here. Let's put the money at this baseball field, et cetera. I'm going to stop there, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Ms. Newberry, started in 2008. Mr. Turner made a proposal to get the people on the lower end of the pay scale a 10% raise. Oh, they got in an uproar about that. So here come the Archer study. And I see the same thing today that happened in 2008. You're going to give the unclassified workers the 3% raise. Whereas the classified workers, they don't get nothing. I think that's very unfair. I think if you're going to give parish employees a raise every year, everyone should get a raise, not only the unclassified, because the unclassified people are the people who are really at the top. I'm ducking for a raise. But if you're going to give it to the unclassified, give it to the classified too. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't, wasn't separating the two, Mr. Henry. Did you misunderstand what I was saying?
Yeah, Mr. Henry, let me clear this up. Give me the floor. I'm going to, what issue that we're addressing, it addresses it from the standpoint of individual job classifications and the market study that this gentleman in the screen did as to what the pay should be for that classification. So this addresses all of the classified employees. The 3% was for the non-classified that's added to this ordinance today. And so everybody is being addressed in this this proposal, including the directors here.
But the 3% was added in 2008 too.
I know, but we're dealing with this today, that everybody in here is being addressed. And the only issue like we're resolving right now is how do we budget it in a budget hearing, in my opinion. And we agreed today that we were going to address that in the budget hearing. The administration is going to give us a balanced budget with all of this included in the budget, balanced, and all we'll have to do is adopt it. As far as, I know Mr. Lapine made some comments about not disagreeing with the revenue that he's going to put in the budget. As long as he doesn't have a budget that we had in 2015 with the phony numbers in it, for instance, the $700,000 that we were given, that water increases that didn't exist, and the price of oil at $130 a barrel that didn't exist. I mean, those are the type of things that we need to address. If the budget is balanced and there is a $5 million increase in sales tax, we're in great shape. And so, we're on the same page here. It's just timing and implementation of the budget so that once we adopt the budget in November, we don't have to worry about it for the whole year going down the path. That's all. Everybody's addressed, though, Mr. Henry. The non-classified and the classified.
Any other comments?
I have a comment, but it's not really directed at the board because I appreciate everything that's been said by the board today. My comment is really directed at the public. And what I want to say to the public is some of the numbers that I just heard are just a few $1,000s over the poverty line if you have a family of 4. And I would hope that the public would join in support of what your plans are. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to say thank y'all
State your
for the
name and address.
consideration. Say again?
Name and address for the record.
Address. Stan Johnson, 211 Caroline Drive, Port Sulphur, Louisiana. Okay, want to say thank y'all for the consideration. Heard a lot of angles. I took a lot of notes here today. I want to thank the administration for putting it out there the way it did. And going with the lady just spoke about the poverty level and the amounts that we're asking for. Some of those wages for truck driver, tractor, that's really not any money in today's market. That LNG plant is going to claim a lot of our workers because they're paying big. I happen to be in earshot of a LNG supervisor who saw a couple of our guys working, and he said, "Man, where'd you get those guys? Pay them $23 right now." They didn't hear it. Had they heard it, they'd have been gone. And I want to say thank you again. I know y'all going to do the very best you can. I know you will. But just like the lady just said, I hope that when you do convene and come back and talk about it, you think about the workers out there. I get to see everybody, most of the field workers, most of the time. I hear most of the complaints about working in the heat, broken equipment, whole bunch of demands that we cannot fill, complaints, all that. Just keep in mind that most of the field workers are guys who have to have another job when they get off. And I'm not talking about a paper job. I'm talking about a real job where they have to get off, get freshened up, and then they're going to do some labor again. Okay? And then got to be ready for tomorrow. So I'm just saying that we appreciate the consideration and hope that you would take that into consideration, that the workforce, not just the field workers, but all of those in the offices as well. There's a lot to do. Everybody's doing 3 jobs, okay? And we know nothing from nothing leaves nothing, but we got to start somewhere. We can't wait until the sun starts shining to start the work. And we've been at a bad spot for a long time. We got to start believing that things are going to change. So thank you for that. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any other questions? Dr. Gouy?
Yeah, I'd just like to close this up. I know that's going to make everyone in here happy. There was discussion about the competitive nature of the jobs. And when I saw in the Gazette, the last few Gazettes, about the jobs that are going to become available, we're going to really have to be competitive, because those jobs are going to pay very well. So to think that we're still going to be able to fill those vacancies, we just have to see how this shakes out. And that's the reality of it. One thing I want to ask, we had set up some budget reviews for week after next, I think. Have you had good response?
We have all but, I think, one council member.
Good. So we did get a pretty good response to that. The questions that were asked today, some of them couldn't be answered, but they have to be answered. They have to be answered, or this thing's not going to fly. So I just urge everyone to bring your questions in, the questions about this year's budget, about next year's budget. Let's look at the projections, see if we can come up with some consensus. We're not going to vote on this today. I'm going to defer it. And then I'll be in contact with the administration to see if they were able to satisfy the questions, whether people like the answers or not, that's irrelevant. We want to know the truth, what are the questions. And then we'll be in communication to see if this will come up for a vote the next meeting, or if we're going to actually wait, as was suggested, for the budget hearings. But let's do this cooperatively between the administration and the council so that we all know what we want. Let's just see if we can get it. Okay? And with that, I will defer.
Item number 4, update by the charter directors.
We got that online. They emailed their updates.
Okay. Moving on, item number 5.
Hold up.
Is there questions?
Mr. LaFrance?
Yes. Mr. Helmer, could you give us an update on the Susie Bayou project, please?
Yes, sir. The land rights are being acquired now. All that's in process, and the advertisement for the bid of construction will be listed on August 16th. It'll be posted for 30 days.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Newberry?
Todd, in your update, you said the water meters are coming to a closure. We finished putting all the meters in place?
Yes, ma'am. All the ones that could be installed have been installed. There are some that were old locations that were not found. We were not able to find some locations, obviously, on the southern end of the parish and on the east bank from the storms, Katrina and Isaac. There were structures in places that there aren't structures now. So we have done everything we could with AMI. AMI has RTU'd, so they've returned to utility a couple hundred locations, I believe, but we are in the process of closing that program out now.
The ones that I couldn't find, are they still operating then or not operating?
They are not operating.
So how many meter readers do we have, and are they still going to be needed?
We have currently 4, I believe, 4 or 5. Yes, they will still be needed. Every time someone needs new service, the meter reader has to go out there, install a meter, and they have to program the meter so the meter will communicate with the towers. Every time we have a disconnect, somebody's got to go out and lock the meter. Every time we have an issue with a leak, they've got to go out and investigate a leak. Sometimes they'll have an issue with an antenna that's not communicating, and there'll be a broken wire that they'll have to go fix. So yes, we will still need meter readers.
Thank you.
Questions about the fire extinguishers and all? Have we went through them all and inspected them all?
Yes, sir. All of the buildings have been inspected. Fire extinguishers. We've also done all of the sprinkler systems that we have in all the buildings. Those were inspected also.
Did the museum?
Was told all of the buildings.
2014.
Fire extinguisher? All right, I'll follow up on that.
Thank you.
Item number 5, bids and advertisements. A resolution authorizing the acceptance of bids for the furnishing of Permanone 31-66 in bulk for a period of 1 year for use by the Mosquito Control Department and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Cognovich.
I'll offer ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Roussel. Any questions? Machines are open. Passes 8-0.
5B, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of bids for the furnishing one or more C-18 industrial engine or equal for a period of 1 year for parish-wide use and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Cognovich.
I'll offer ask for a second.
I'll second, but I need to know what they're for.
Across the river.
At the East Bank, Port Nahash pumping station.
Oh, that's to replace the pump station?
Yes,
The
the
motor.
one engine. The other engine is running and pump is working, yeah.
So we need only one?
One of the engines blew a
Where?
rod through the system, through the storm, and we had to pull it.
L.A.?
That's at Point Lahash.
Well, hatch itself.
Yes, sir.
So you have all, then you have that and one running, right?
Yes, sir.
One pump and the little motors on the side. That's what that's for.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Second, Bartholomew. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, did we look into privatizing the mosquito control deal before we start buying all these chemicals?
No.
That was the last item.
That was the last item. We're on a different item now.
I'm sorry, I thought you were on that item. Excuse me.
Any other questions? Machines open. Passes 8-0.
Item number 6, beer and liquor licenses.
If you have one queue in, I have special event permit. Bureau's Volunteer Fire Department, Highway 113541, Bureau's, Louisiana, car show. Anybody else? I'll offer. Ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bartholomew. Any questions? Machine's open. Passes 7-0.
Item number 7A, construction permit. Shall we do 1, 2, and 3 in globo? Number 1, Tennessee Gas Pipeline Company, LLC, application number 2022-452, dated April 22nd, 2022. Proposed remediation of the TGP 500-1, 500-2, and 500-3 pipeline. Riprap will be used to remediate the exposed pipe, and clamp will be replaced within the Mississippi River just south of Mardi Gras Pass. That's Council Members Bartholomew and LaFrance. Chevron Pipeline Company, application number 2022-689, dated July 19, 2022. Maintenance dredge existing slip, Empire Terminal. That's Council Member Bartholomew. Chevron Pipeline Company, application number 2022-685, dated July 14, 2022. Remove the Baylong solar panel CP platform. Remove and replace the Garden Bay solar panel CP platform, Baylong and Garden Bay area. That's Councilmember Blink.
I offer.
Second.
Mr. Bartholomew offers. Mr. LaFrance second. Any questions? Machine's open. Passes 7-0.
Item number 7B is deferred. Item number 8, introduction of ordinances and resolutions. There are a few. The following ordinances are being offered by Councilmember Kognovich. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, repairs, air conditioners, parish-wide project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, Hurricane Zeta, repairs, Cypress Park project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, Hurricane Zeta, Recreation North and Narcotics Content Project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The following is being offered by Councilmember Bartholomew. An ordinance to amend the 2022 manpower structure and operating expenditure budget, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Excuse me, Mr. Before you move, that is relative to the paying for the ride on the boat, the ferry boats? That last one?
No, sir. This item is amending and creating a funding of one part-time civil service administrator. The following ordinance is being offered by Councilmember Arborough. An ordinance declaring surplus property that portion of property identified as the proposed lease on a survey conducted by Hugh McCurdy III, dated August 9, 2022, on Tract V3, located at 8056 Highway 23, Bellchase, Louisiana, 70037, authorizing the parish president to lease the same in accordance with law, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Also, Councilmember Arborough, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a donation for the firefighting department and to amend the 2022 firefighting fund operating revenue and expenditure budgets, firefighting general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Following ordinances are being offered by Councilmember Gouy. An ordinance to amend the 2022 Waterworks and Sewage Fund operating expenditure budget, Waterworks and Sewage Operations Department, and the 5-year capital improvements plan, various projects, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Also, Councilmember Gouy, an ordinance to amend the 2022 manpower structure and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Also, Councilmember Gooey, a resolution granting conditional approval for a plan of subdivision of Stafford and Elizabeth Mayu, map of re-subdivision of lots 14, 15, and 16, square 29, Belchase Town Site, Belchase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on map of re-subdivision by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering, Inc., dated May 17, 2022, without cost to Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines. An ordinance being offered by Councilmember Russo, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of lots 6 and 7, Cedar Grove Plantation, Section 4, Township 15 South, Range 24E East, Southeastern District of Louisiana, west of the Mississippi River, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots 6A, 6B, 7A, and 7B, Cedar Grove Plantation, Section 4, Township 15 South, Range 24 East, Southeastern District of Louisiana, west of the Mississippi River, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plan and plat of survey by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering, Inc., dated August 5th, 2021, the owner having fulfilled all of the requirements of the subdivision re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines without cost to Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Lastly, the following ordinance is being offered by Councilmember LaFrance, an ordinance prohibiting the igniting or lighting of incendiary devices, cooking or barbecuing on the Port Self or Civic Drive fishing pier, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. That's all the ordinances for introduction.
We move to 11.
11, new business. Introduction of resolutions wherein suspension is being sought. Which item number, Mr. Chairman? 4.
Oh, they all gonna.
Oh, you want to go through all of them? Okay. Resolution appointing a person, item number 1. Resolution appointing a person to fill the vacancy in the office of council member for District 2 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance. Item number 2, a resolution appointing a person to fill the vacancy in the office of council member for District 2 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kognovich. A resolution appointing a person to fill the vacancy in the office of council member for District 2 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Russo. A resolution appointing a person to fill the vacancy in office of council member for District 2 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gooey.
And this is a vote on the suspension of the rules. I'll offer by Mr. Bartholomew. I'll second. Machines are open on the suspension. And it passes 8-0. Can you read 4?
11-4, a resolution appointing a person to fill the vacancy in the office of council member for District 2 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gooey.
As everyone is aware, and thank you for moving to there, Mr. Chair. Everyone is aware Mr. Black has resigned his seat and took a job with the state of Louisiana. Because of that, we are given the task of replacing the District 2 representative. This has to be done within the first 30 days, or it goes to the governor for the governor's selection, the recommendation. Mr. Black has contacted everyone about his recommendation for his replacement, and that recommendation is Ms. Blaine Braddock. I sent the bio of Blaine to everyone so you have time to review. I have to say that if any council member would go through what Mr. Black went through and have to resign, that whoever that person recommended, I would strongly consider. And I know Ms. Blaine, I've looked over her resume, and I will support her, and I'm asking that everyone support her. With that, I know there are other recommendations that are going to be made, and I know who those people are, and they're wonderful people. But as I said before, I do feel that if one of my colleagues comes to me and asks that I would support who he would or she would support, that I take that very seriously. So with that, I'll yield the floor.
Any questions from the council?
Need a
I
second?
think we seconded it, huh? Oh, I seconded it. Any other questions from the council? Administration, audience?
Mr. Chairman, irrespective of the personnel, there's nothing personal about your nominee that you're calling. Everybody, you all included, are subject to the Ethics Administration and its rules are there. And the other night I posted on Facebook the ethics policies. And there's 4. I was trying to see if I could find them very quickly. One of them is to ensure the public confidence in the integrity of government. 2, to ensure the independence and impartiality of elected officials and public employees. 3, to ensure the governmental decisions and policies are made in the proper channel of a government. And the last one is to ensure that the public office and employment are not used for private gain. There's many other conditions, but these are the 4 primary goals of the Ethics Commission and state law. Something that I've gone through so many ethics trainings, and probably you all have, and been on different boards and times over the years. As much as there are concerns about conflicts of interest, it is equally important to look at it from the appearance of improprieties or conflicts of interest. That is far greater in depth and broader if you really want to look at it. You know, I've looked at all those things and statements about the bridge and all the comments that have been made about people being involved and getting the bridge done and they're getting rewarded with jobs in Baton Rouge. BS. Okay? Yeah. They're in there. Mr. Black was a respected councilman here. You know, some of that goes unnecessary. I don't want to see you all get in a situation where you're going to put somebody on the council where there's a potentiality of conflicts of interest, or you get to the point where they're not going to vote, they're going to recuse themselves because of situations that come forth. We got some major issues coming forth in the next year, or should I say until January, until the new person's elected, and you deal with them. I think you need to hire, or should I say replace it, with somebody professional, has been involved in government before, and it doesn't have any conflicts. The person that you're proposing to for this position, Dr. Gouin, family is directly involved with the port, and it would have to be required to supervise that person to sit there and say they can recuse themselves or not vote upon it. It's just, why cause the problems? There's many, many qualified people in this parish that can take the time and volunteering the time to serve. Very qualified people. And I only know one other person. I don't know who the other 2 are besides Ms. LaHaye. So I'm just going to leave it at that. You all have that fiduciary responsibility. You ought to consider ethics rules and ethics that you all live by in appointing anybody to this position. I don't doubt that the person is very, very qualified, very nice person, and nothing other than that, other than what I'm stating as far as the conflict of interest.
Thank you.
Hey, Arthur Henry, I lived in that district all my life, 67 years. I called everybody up here, but I only found out in the newspaper. But everybody I talked to said they already had picked their guy. I said, damn, that was fast. Look, hey, I'm willing to do this. If you can't decide on any other person, I'm here, I'm available. I don't hold no loyalty to no one. I'm independent. I'll always be independent. And I'll serve that area like I would do anything else I do. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I don't know who the other 3 are, But one of the things I'm running on is qualifications. Blaine's college educated, been in healthcare for 10 years, finance background, just got her Series 7 license. So she's qualified. I mean, everybody at one time is new to politics. So I disagree with you there, Don. So, and the concern about nepotism laws and all that put out by the Board of Ethics, my understanding is Ms. Christie is civil service, but put out by the Board of Ethics, it says a public employee may continue his or her employment even if the member of his immediate family member becomes the agency head, and also talks about member of government authority, provided that the public employee has been employed in the agency for a period of at least 1 year prior to the immediate family member becoming the agency head. So the concern about ethics and nepotism is basically put out by the Board of Ethics that it is allowed because Ms. Christie has been there for 1 year. Yeah, it has the appearance, but legally, my understanding, I could be wrong, is that Blaine could become the board member or council member. So again, it's based on qualifications, and to me, she's qualified. But again, I don't know who the other three. I just heard Ms. LaHaye. I think she's qualified as well. But to say Blaine can't serve because of who her mother is, look at her qualifications is all I'm saying.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Garrett?
And just to clarify, I was asked to look at this issue, and you're absolutely correct. Under the Code of Governmental Ethics, there is not a nepotism prohibition if the apparent nepotism is result of someone taking office when their immediate family member has already held the position for more than a year. Also, there is no direct supervision by an individual council member in their role as the governing authority of the port over the port staff. The only potential is that if there were ever a matter before the council in its role as the governing authority of the port that dealt specifically with Ms. Nielsen, then her daughter, as a member of the council, would have to abstain, but that would be the only circumstance. So just to alleviate that, I was asked to look at this issue. I sent Dr. Uwe, there's actually an ethics opinion issued in 2022, earlier this year, that's directly on point, dealt with a city council, but it was pretty much the exact same situation. And just so that everybody is aware. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question, but only because I don't know the person being considered. But I understand this person does financing, and I'm a little concerned that she's been involved in the financing with Walter Math's developments. And there has been something on the council's agenda for months next to my property that has something to do with Walter Math's developments. And I'm concerned about that conflict.
Thank you. Anyone else? Machines are open. And it fails 4-1, 2 abstentions, and 1 no vote.
Well, I mean, y'all went a little fast. All right.
What do you want? Verbal?
Verbal no.
2 no votes.
Thank you.
Go to 1.
1. Item number 11A1, a resolution appointing a person to fill the vacancy in the office of council member for District 2 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
Yes, I would like to nominate Mrs. Nancy LaHaye.
Mr. LaFrance offers with Nancy LaHaye. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Roussel. Any questions?
Yes, I just want to say I worked with Mrs. Nancy LaHaye 12 years for the school board. She's very knowledgeable. She's very knowledgeable about our school system and the things and the problems that faces our parish. She had addressed this council about the bridge, and she addressed this council about the cost of flood insurance previously. She had held many chairman seats on the school board. She was chairman of the finance committee, construction committee, and especially at the time when we was constructing South Plaque High, South Plaque Elementary, Plaquemines Parish Learning Center, Phoenix High School, and Bell Chase Elementary. She played a big part after Katrina, when we had to meet with the state and the FEMA, that we was able to keep all our employees, even though we only had one school that was operating, but we was able to keep all our employees. Again, I appreciate if you consider her for District 2 seat.
Any other questions? Audience?
Yes, Arthur Henry again. Let's talk about qualification. And I've been there 67 years. If I'm not qualified, who else qualified? Who else is not qualified? I could come in here running. I've been around this for 40 years. I've been doing this for 40 years, coming to these meetings. 40 years. I'm always at budget hearings. I'll be telling you guys some of the ideas on some of these things. So, qualifications. I have qualifications, man. Come on, be real about this. Be real.
Mr. Blink?
Yeah, sure, Mr. Henry. Where are you at on the next payment for the Sustainability Partners contract? Where would you be on that?
They shouldn't get paid.
What's that?
They shouldn't get paid. Look, Santa, the contract with them guys is always looked at it like this, and I'm being real. All the money they come here talking about, they got this much money, all the financiers come here with this much money. All my experience in business all these many years is, listen, if you got this kind of money, why you need the parish to front you? No. Put the money where your mouth is yourself.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm going to speak again, but like I said, I did not know Ms. LaHaye. Well, I don't even know who the other two members are or appointees that y'all are considering. But again, based on qualifications, I was going to say pretty much the same thing as Mr. LaFrance said, that she was a school board member. She's very involved in community, all that. So I know up there a lot of times personal feelings get involved, but look at qualifications, and I think Ms. LaHaye will be a good person. She's qualified. She has experience in the school board. So just look at that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Machines are open. Passes 5 with 3 abstentions.
Congratulations, Mrs. LaHaye. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Will she assume the seat now?
She has to be sworn in.
She has to be sworn in.
Just to file her.
Yeah. Y'all need to notify the Secretary of State's office, and then she will have to file her oath of office.
Okay.
Would you like to come up and say anything?
I'm sure all of you know me. I thank you so much for your vote of confidence. I hope that I will do a job. I will try my best. I'm very independent. I'll warn you. I think everybody knows that. I wasn't only just school board. I was hospital board years ago, the Chevron Cap board. I have lived in District 2 for 54 years. I retired from New Misahiro and Son, who is also in District 2, after 40 years. I currently manage 73 tenants. So I've done a lot. Hopefully I can help on this board. I'm going to try my best, and I appreciate your vote of confidence. Thank you.
Thank you. B.
Mr. Chairman, I'm assuming 11A2 will be withdrawn and 11A3 withdrawn? Okay. 11A2 is withdrawn, 11A3 is withdrawn. 9A, ordinances and public hearings pursuant to Article 6, Section 6.01E of the Plaquemines Parish Charter. There are none. Item B is deferred. No, I'm sorry. Fill in the blank. A resolution appointing
Crystal Flood.
as the Assistant Secretary of the Plaquemines Parish Council and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kognovich.
I'll offer, ask for a second.
Also, we need to fill in August 29th, 2022 is the effective date.
I'll second.
I offered Mr. Blink second. Is there any questions?
No, she had to work today.
What is her name again?
Crystal Flood.
Mr. Hallborough?
Yeah, I have a question, how the interview process was done for this round, if someone can clarify that for me. I never got an email inviting to attend.
No, I did send out an email. It was during the time of probably the issues, but it was when everybody had emails on their phone. So we had many applicants. It went on Indeed.com as well as being advertised in the Gazette. We got about 40 applicants, but the majority of them from Indeed were not, So then I chose, I think 10 of them to do phone interviews with first, did that, and then 6 people made the final round, the in-persons. One of them decided that she was going to move, so it only left 6 people that actually interviewed. And from there, I made my choice.
Ms. Newberry?
What is the starting salary?
It is the same as the other assistants makes. It's $48,260.
Any other questions? Administration? Audience? Machines open. Passes 8-0.
Thank you.
Item 9C, an ordinance to amend and reenact Section 4-15 of the Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Arborough. We have a substitution for this.
Want to wait to read the substitution offer? Read the substitution.
The substitution reads as follows. Section 415 of Chapter 4 of the Parish Code of Ordinances is hereby amended and shall now read as follows. Section 4-15, Location of Businesses Limited. A, no permit shall be granted under this chapter to any applicant at the same location if the applicant's controlling interest comprises of 50% or more of persons or entities that have previously had a license or permit revoked by the state of Louisiana. B, no permit shall be granted to conduct an alcoholic beverage business within 500 feet of a public playground or of a building used exclusively as a church, synagogue, or other religious house of worship, public library, school, full-time daycare center, as defined in Revised Statute 17:405A4, or a correctional facility housing inmates, including but not limited to a halfway house. The 500 feet distance shall be measured from the nearest point of the property line of the church, synagogue, or other religious house of worship, public library, public playground, school, full-time daycare center, or correctional facility housing inmates, including but not limited to a halfway house, to the nearest point of the premises to be permitted or licensed. This subsection shall not apply to any alcoholic beverage business holding a valid license or permit on or before August 12th, 2022. The ordinance shall become effective upon signature. This is section 2. The ordinance shall become effective upon signature by the parish president. If vetoed, should the parish council override the veto by an affirmative vote of at least 2/3 of its entire membership, then the ordinance shall become effective at 12:01 a.m. on the next calendar day. The Secretary of the Council is hereby authorized and directed to immediately certify and release this ordinance, and that parish employees and officials are authorized to carry out the purposes of this ordinance, both without further reading and approval by the Plaquemines Parish Council.
Mr. Alborough, you offer? I'll second. Mr. Alborough,
Yes, and I'm happy to defer because I know I didn't speak to.
can you cue in or no? Is your mic live?
I'm happy to defer because I know I didn't talk to a few of y'all. This all started a couple weeks ago. I got a liquor permit across my desk that was within the 500 feet. I've always understood this ought to already be in place with the 500 feet rule. After Danny Garrett did some investigation, it wasn't correct. So between him making a few changes and Rennie kind of changed that up, and we did this substitution. We're just putting in place what most council members that I was able to speak with, we already thought we had in place, was the 500 feet. The state rules 300, but what was on our books stated 500. The reason we're asking for the grandfather clause in is because the sheriff's office had the understanding of it not being correct as well, and we have had a few get passed within the 500 feet in the last few years. So again, I'm happy to defer if any of y'all want to call me and discuss it more. I personally, again, thought it was always the 500 feet and would ask for y'all's support on that as well to keep any bars away from our schools and churches.
Thank you. Mr. Blank?
Yeah, sure. I mean, on the surface, this is fine and good. But I am aware of an instance at one of the exits between the Louisiana-Texas border and Lake Charles where one of those roadside casinos had a competitor wanting to build on the other side of the interstate, and so they propped up one of these I need to be careful how I say this, but it was a church that happened to be in a double wide trailer, right? And they propped it up with the sole purpose of preventing any sort of competitors from coming in, and maybe we should be cautious and build something in to prevent that sort of behavior from happening. But I'll yield.
Mr. Bartholomew?
Yeah, there's any grandfather in on that item? So if they're already existence, it won't apply.
They still have to, the state, there's no on the state. It's 300 feet for the state. So anything now would not have been approved within 300 feet. Ours would be 500, but grandfathered in between 300 and 500.
So if it's 500, if within 500 feet, beyond the 500 feet, that's what you're saying. Okay.
Any questions? Administration, audience, do you want to go with it? Machines open. Passes 8-0.
Item D, will we be deferring that? That was Mr. Black's.
He didn't let anybody know anything? Okay.
9D was deferred. Well, then it automatically will be deferred.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got, well, there's still time left, but I understand what you're trying to say. Right.
She can reintroduce it.
Okay.
9E, an ordinance to amend the 2022 manpower structure and operating expenditure budgets and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. We did that one, I apologize. 9F, and ordinance authorizing acceptance of a donation for the Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness Department and to amend the General Fund 2022 operating revenue and expenditure budgets, Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kognovich.
I'll offer, ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Alborough. Any questions, Ms. Newberry?
Is this anything particular they donate or just donating to Homeland Security in general? Is it anything particular? Just curious. Do you know? If not, it's okay.
I see and hear they're increasing communications equipment, and yeah, so it must be used for that.
Any other questions? Machine's open.
Councilmember Bartholomew.
Mr. Bartholomew? Passes 8-0.
9G, an ordinance to amend the 2022 General Fund Operating Expenditure Budget, Permits, Planning, and Zoning Department, and the Flood Control Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gui.
Dr. Gui offers their second. Second by Mr. Arborough. Dr. Gui?
We discussed this with the administration the other day, so Todd, if you want to give the specifics, I'd appreciate it.
This is to provide money so we can hire someone to be an RV inspector in the parish. We've passed legislation to allow more RV spaces in the parish. We've got changed the fees for RV spaces in the parish, and we need someone who can go out and make sure that the people are in the correct spots, that they're paying the fees that they're supposed to be paying, that they're permitted the way they're supposed to be paying, and we don't have someone currently that is able to do that.
Didn't we put $100 a space?
Yes, sir, annually.
Mr. Roussel?
Yeah, so this is going to professional services. You're going to hire a contract,
Yes, sir.
and they're going to get paid per inspection or something?
We're going to seek proposals and we'll evaluate how we can pay them. We don't know if they're going to be paid per inspection or if we're going to sign a professional services contract with them to where they're going to work 2 or 3 days a week to do inspections and keep up with paperwork.
I know don't we have some professional service contracts with Zach? How many contracts does he have?
Currently 1,
And that's the,
chief building official.
is he eligible to get another one?
I believe he is.
So this may go to him?
It's possible, yes, sir.
I think I think in the budget hearing, you need to propose somebody as an employee, because my experience with dealing with this contract employee, I never know when he's on our payroll or he's on somebody else's payroll somewhere else. So you may want to consider, since we're moving in the direction of trying to staff up and get some inspectors, because we don't have but one inspector. You might want to try to fund that in the budget and put this $25,000 towards a salary that we can try to get somebody and have at least more than one inspector, because when that one inspector leaves on vacation or sick, our constituents are sitting out there with no inspection other than the third-party inspectors.
Correct.
So we might want to
I
evaluate that.
agree with you, sir. Absolutely. We will certainly do that. We would like to be able to sign this professional services contract to get us through the end of the year, because the likelihood of us hiring somebody at the pay scale that we have right now is very unlikely.
So this contract's for Zach?
No,
this contract is to hire someone through the end of the year.
No, this will be we'll actually do an RFP for this particular type of service. We won't be amending Zach's contract just for this service.
If he does.
And once again, we need it now because, as we know, everybody's trying to get trailers now. And so we know how slow civil service can be. And this is to kind of get boots on the ground now. And obviously, if you all adopt the Archer study, we're confident we can probably hire someone.
All right. I yield.
Mr. LaFrance?
Yes, who that person answer to?
That person answers to Mr. Epley.
All right, that's it.
Any other questions, audience?
Mr. Chairman, some of the things that you all do is, well, we got the $100 fee coming in for these trailers, and the big trailer park fees come in. If you'd earmark those monies to pay for that person and then don't let it go into the general fund and get lost in the shuffle, it's dedicated. It's just like we were talking about the other day about the tax collections and all the stuff that goes on with Global Venture. We don't have anybody overseeing the collection of these sales tax that's going on. Are we missing them? So let it go at that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Machine's open. Passes 8-0.
Item
Yes, sir.
Item number 10, approval of the minutes from the July 28, 2022 regular meeting.
Do I have an offer?
Offer.
Offer by Mr. Alborough, second. I'll second. Any questions? Machines are open. Accepting the minutes.
B, District 9 update, Councilmember Kognovich.
Go to 3.
Item number 3, discussion about ambulances and EpiPens.
I know about the ambulances. How many we have now in the parish?
We have 3 operating, sir.
Okay, the reason I put this on, a constituent got stung by hundreds of bees and was passed out. Took 45 minutes for the ambulance to get there, but while they was waiting, the fire department came. Now, they don't have EpiPens, but they could give Narcan to crackheads.
That's correct.
But we can't give an EpiPen to somebody who got stung by bees.
The Bureau of Ambulances, I believe, is what it's called, does not allow for emergency responders to administer medicine. An EpiPen is considered administering medicine because it's a needle that actually goes into your body. So that has not been allowed until we did a little research, and they changed it this year. So I spoke with Superintendent Butcher, asked him if he would be receptive to having EpiPens on fire trucks and training his emergency responders to where they could administer EpiPens. He said he's receptive. We're going to look into it a little bit farther. It does require our medical director to sign off on that and give his consent for firefighters to be able to do it, but we are looking into getting it done right now.
Thank you, because I know at work, I've been to George Washington University to do first responder, and I could, through the phone system with a doctor, I could give shots, IVs, and stuff like that. So if we could get that done, because people brought their EpiPens and the fire department people told them they wasn't giving them and they couldn't give it. So, but the wife stuck him with 2, and then the ambulance comes, so.
We're going to get that worked on. And anyone that has that kind of allergic reaction should have their own prescription for their own EpiPen, because it is a life and death situation sometimes.
Well, he wasn't allergic, but there were so many bees that stung him. But thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else under there?
Then go to 11C, District 8 update. Richie Blink.
Thank you all for undertaking some of the shaving along LE 11. It's really helpful. Is John here? Hey, John.
Mr. Helmus.
Yeah. How's progress coming for the new shipyard slip in Empire? Where we stand on that?
It is still with the consulting team that's evaluating stuff from Ida.
Got it. All right. That's been a priority this whole your entire time here.
It's been a priority since I took over the shipyard, but moving along and not having the funding for it is time consuming. We do have in the multi-year implementation plan, Amendment 3, which will be coming from the Restore Act soon to bring to you guys, there will be funding available through Restore to improve that slip.
Oh, okay.
And repair it.
I thought you were telling me before that you were going to use Go Mesa money to fund that improvement there.
No, it was Restore.
Okay. All right. Do you have a timeline on when we could see some forward progress there? There's water just jetting out of the cement over there.
I do not have a timeline.
Any chance to go hammer a tugboat rope into those cracks or anything?
We've used sandbags. We pour sand, we stuck stuff in there, and it just washes it back out.
Well, I could tell you, don't spend the money on this injection stuff, because Louisiana Fruit did it by our dock in Venice. It doesn't work.
Right. Yeah, it's, there's some serious engineering issues with that ramp when it was reconstructed. So it's taken a little bit time, but the main problem is of course the funding source.
All right, I'm going to yield the other items since it had to do with the ambulances.
Thank you. 11E, District 7 update, Mr. LaFrance.
Yes. Mr. Roussel, when can we get somebody trained on that grader? That grader stay parked more than when it's being used.
We have somebody that's on the grader, but he also runs the pumping station and
The question is, when can we get somebody else trained on the grader?
we'll look into it and try to do the best we can, so.
I know John Bartholomew has been crying for the use of that grader for several months. And I noticed also Mr. Donald Valen over there at his property on Walker Road has been complaining also about the use of the grader, but I see the grader mostly parked. So we really need to get somebody else trained on that grader. I know we have, several tractor drivers or tractors operators that don't have tractors. Maybe we can use one of them, but we really need to get that piece of equipment. It's a $250,000 piece of equipment. It needs to be utilized.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Look into it.
You done?
Yes, sir.
F, District 5 update, Mr. Roussel.
Yes, I understand that we finally got approval for the moving forward of the Bell Chase water plant intake, and could you tell me when the bids will go out?
It is out for bid. It's being advertised in the paper these coming weeks.
Okay. The status of the pump stations prior to hurricane season, pump station number 1 and number 2 are at what status?
Pump station number 1 is fully operational. Pump station 2, they're still working on the dresser coupling. They worked on it yesterday and today on pump 1. Pump 2, the Baron went out on it last week during the rain event and is vibrating very bad. We'll probably have to get that one pulled. That would be the middle pump. So we down on that one pump, but we got the other 2 running. Yes, sir. It's not on your update because they finished it pretty much today, yesterday and today.
All right. Status of the Ladder and Bloom contract and the marketing of Parish property. Would anybody here know where we're at with that contract? No?
I do not. No, sir.
I understand that we finally have leased the second floor to Popich, of the Popich building to Venture Global.
I think they're working on finalizing the lease now. I don't know if it's been fully executed yet, but I know we're working on finalizing the lease.
All right, and the last item, grass cutting at Meadowlavana Park. I guess with the rain, we haven't been able to get to it.
As soon as it dries up some, we'll try to get to it as soon as possible.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Might be January. G, District 6 update, Ms. Newberry.
Scott, any latest on the Ollie pump that was damaged? Any latest?
Number 3 pump in that station got a piece of metal hung up in the blade. We had a diver out last week and he could not get it out.
Okay.
There is a crane on site they're looking at to see if it could reach it to just pull it up. Maybe we can get it out just without bringing it to the shop or anything, but they're just going to try to disconnect it, pull it out, and try to unjam the piece of metal that's stuck in between the propeller and the housing of the pump.
Okay, thank you.
But the other 3 motors are running full.
Okay, can you let me know when that gets fixed?
As soon as we get it going.
But the other pumps are keeping up with the rain. I mean, it's kind of hit and miss in different areas.
Well, they were pumping today. They have been for last week or 2 with all of the rain we've been having. They've been trying to keep the canals down as low as possible. But, you know, that 1 week where it rained like 2.5, 3 inches within 45 minutes, within an hour or so, it went down. So They did all right.
Okay, thank you.
They stay working at it.
You finished, Ms. Newberry? H, discussion with Don Valor about Walker Road.
What France mentioned already. I'm trying to work with Scott on the road down there. Either he can get me certified to run the motor grader, or maybe we can put it in the budget this year to pave Walker Road. Thank you.
J, discussion regarding district lines, Mr. Alborough.
I'm sorry, I thought I reported on that last week, but I thank Danny Garrett and Michelle Wilcox with the Register of Voters Office. Everything's been fixed, and I know the residents did receive their new voter registration cards. So District 3 is good.
Thank you.
And wow, you wanted to say something about that?
Yes.
Frank?
While we're on that subject, we were able to straighten up our voting precincts for District 7. So the people from south of Lake Hermitage, the home place, will vote in Port Sulphur, and from Lake Hermitage North will vote at Belle Chase Middle School. So we were able to correct that. Thank you.
Good deal.
Thank you. Any other questions? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So offered.
Motion by LaFrance, second by Bowie or Alborough.
Close enough.
Machines open. And it passes 7-0. We adjourned at 6:14 p.m.